It began on a calm morning, the kind that made the world feel peaceful. The sky above New York was bright and blue. People were heading to work, and children were running through parks. No one knew that within the next hour, the sky would change forever. At exactly 9:37 a.m., every electronic device on Earth flickered. Phones died. Planes stopped midair. A strange vibration rolled through the atmosphere, and animals began to howl. Then people looked up and froze. Something huge was descending through the clouds. It wasn't one ship, but hundreds. Metallic giants, silent and silver, slowly covered the sun. Their size was impossible to believe, each one larger than a city. They didn't attack. They didn't move fast. They just hovered, blocking the light, watching. Panic spread across the planet. Governments activated their defense systems. Fighter jets scrambled into the air, but none dared to fire. For the first time in human history, the world united in fear. Then a voice echoed across the globe, not from speakers, but inside every human mind. "People of Earth," the voice said, calm and commanding, "do not fear. We come as protectors." Screens flickered back to life, showing tall, pale beings standing in beams of light. They called themselves the Arvion. Their faces were smooth and expressionless, their eyes glowing faint blue. They said they had watched humanity for centuries and had come to save the planet from an incoming cosmic disaster, a deadly radiation wave that would destroy all life within a year. They offered technology that could shield Earth, heal sickness, and bring peace. And just like that, fear turned into hope. Nations that had hated each other for decades signed peace agreements overnight. The Arvion were hailed as saviors. Cities welcomed them with parades, and their symbols appeared on every government building, but not everyone believed them. Captain Elias Ward, a decorated soldier who had fought in off-world defense projects, watched the events in silence from his base in Nevada. He had seen alien deception before. To him, the Arvion's timing was too perfect, arriving just as humanity was close to building its first deep space fleet. Late one night, Elias sat in the operations room, reviewing satellite scans of the Arvion ships. He noticed something strange. Beneath each ship, energy lines reached deep underground, connecting to Earth's power grid. But the direction of energy was wrong. It wasn't flowing from the ships into the cities. It was flowing out of them. He ran the data again. The readings were the same. The aliens weren't giving energy. They were taking it. Elias took his findings to the Global Council, but they dismissed him. "You're letting old wars make you paranoid," one diplomat told him. The Arvion saved our world, but Elias couldn't let it go. He contacted an old friend, Dr. Mira Han, a scientist who once worked with the alien envoys. When he showed her the data, her face turned pale. "Elias," she whispered, "this technology, it doesn't protect. It drains." She explained that the Arvion used a process called emotional resonance extraction, a system that absorbed bioenergy through emotional frequency. In simple words, they were feeding on human feelings. The more fear, grief, or despair humans felt, the stronger the Arvion became. Elias stared at her in disbelief. "So all this peace talk, the gifts, the cures, it's bait," she said. "They need us calm first, before they take everything." That night, Elias tried to warn the world. He sent encrypted messages to military networks across continents. But before the data could transmit fully, the entire satellite system went offline. The ground shook. Outside the base, the sky turned crimson. Massive storm clouds formed around the alien ships, spinning faster and faster. From their undersides, beams of dark light began piercing into the ground, into cities, power stations, and oceans. All communication died. The world was cut off. Elias ran to the surface, watching as one of the alien ships shifted its form. Its smooth shell opened, revealing hundreds of glowing orbs floating down toward the Earth like silver rain. Wherever they touched, people froze in place, eyes turning glassy, expressions fading into nothing. He shouted to his team, "Get underground! Now!" They ran through smoke and debris as power lines exploded. Above them, the Arvian's calm voice returned, only this time it carried a cold tone. Protection begins with silence. Humanity must rest. Then the ships grew brighter, and the sky began to burn. Elias dived into the shelter, pulling the steel door shut as shockwaves hit. The ground trembled, alarms screamed, and dust fell from the ceiling. The world above was being rewritten in fire and light. For hours, the rumbling continued. When it finally stopped, Elias crawled out. The air was red and heavy. Cities in the distance glowed faintly like dying embers. The ship still hovered, silent and unmoving. He looked up at the burning horizon and whispered, "They said they'd protect us." But from what? In the silence that followed, a faint mechanical voice answered from his communicator, Mira's voice, weak but alive. "Elias, it's worse than we thought. They aren't here to protect Earth, they're here to own it." Elias clenched his fists, staring at the empty sky. The age of protection was over. The age of resistance was about to begin. When the fire finally died, silence ruled the planet. Cities stood empty, covered in ash and glowing dust. The sky was no longer blue but pale grey, filled with strange lights, moving like shadows behind the clouds. The Arvian ships still hovered, silent and cold, their lights pulsing slowly, as if the world now breathed with them. Captain Elias Ward and his team hid deep underground in the old defense tunnels beneath Nevada. Their communication lines were dead, power cells almost empty, and supplies running low. Above ground, drones floated through the streets searching for survivors. Anyone caught was turned into a motionless shell, a living statue of silence. Elias sat beside a flickering lantern, staring at the floor. The words of Mirahan still echoed in his mind. They aren't here to protect Earth. They're here to own it. It had been 5 days since the fall. Humanity was gone quiet, not because they wanted peace, but because they had no choice. The Arvian called it the Silent Protocol. Every sound above a certain level triggered their drones. They didn't just control Earth. They had rewritten its rules. At night, Elias could hear the hum of alien machinery coming from beneath the ground. The Arvian were digging, deep into Earth's core, building something enormous. Mira finally arrived at the bunker, covered in dust and burns. She had been running from city to city, collecting survivors and data. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was steady. "They're building resonance towers," she said. "They will drain the planet completely. Not just energy, but emotions, memories, everything that makes us human." Elias frowned. "Why? What do they need that for?" Mira hesitated. "Because emotion is power to them. The stronger our feelings, the stronger they become. That's why they made us trust them first. They fed on our hope before feeding on our fear." She pulled out a damaged alien device, half metal, half crystal, glowing faintly blue. "This is a data core from one of their drones," she explained. "It holds encrypted commands from their mothership. If we can decode it, maybe we can find a weakness." Elias nodded. "Then we fight back." That night, they powered up a hidden lab in the tunnels. The room glowed dimly as Mira connected the alien core to old human computers. Strange symbols filled the screen, twisting letters that changed shape like living code. Hours passed. The team worked in silence, afraid even to whisper. Finally, Mira gasped. "I found something." She pointed to the screen. "The Arvian network is connected through a signal hub under the Pacific Ocean. It's not just a base, it's alive. They're using it to control the entire planet's atmosphere." Elias studied the data. "If we take that hub out, they lose control," Mira finished. But before they could plan further, the bunker lights flickered. Someone, or something, was near. A deep hum echoed through the tunnels. The air grew colder. Everyone froze as a beam of blue light cut through the darkness, sweeping across the room. Elias whispered, "Drones." They turned off every light. Footsteps, mechanical and sharp, approached. Through the cracks in the bunker door, they saw tall silver figures moving silently, their eyes glowing faint blue. They weren't drones. These were Arvian soldiers, real ones. Mira's hands shook as she whispered, "How did they find us?" Elias clenched his jaw. "They're tracking the data signal." The door burst open. Beams of light shot across the room. The air filled with smoke and screams. Elias fired his rifle, the bullets sparking uselessly against alien armor. Mira threw a pulse grenade. The explosion shattered equipment and blew the aliens backward. "Run!" Elias shouted. They raced through the tunnels, turning corner after corner as explosions shook the ground. Dust and fire filled the air. Mira stumbled, clutching the alien core tight against her chest. "Don't let it fall. It's our only chance." When they finally reached the exit shaft, Elias climbed up first and kicked open the steel hatch. The night sky glowed faint red, with the nearest alien ship hanging low over the desert like a silent moon. They ran toward an old hangar filled with abandoned trucks. Drones began swarming in the air, their lights blinking in perfect rhythm. Mira jumped into a truck, powering it on manually. "Get in!" Elias climbed beside her as the engine roared to life. They sped through the desert, chased by flashes of blue light from above. A sudden beam struck the ground beside them, throwing sand high into the air. The truck flipped, rolling down a dune. Metal screamed, glass shattered. Everything went black. When Elias opened his eyes, the world was upside down. The truck was destroyed. Mira was unconscious beside him, and the alien core glowed faintly on the ground. In the distance, he saw something, a dark shape rising from the sand. It wasn't alien, it was human. A group of survivors in torn armor approached, carrying human weapons. Their leader, a tall woman with scars across her face, pointed her gun at him. "You're Elias Ward?" she asked. He nodded weakly. "Then get up," she said. "You just became the leader of Project Dawn." Behind her, the horizon burned again, and the world's last resistance began to rise. When Elias woke, the world was still spinning. The air smelled of burnt sand and smoke. He blinked against the red sunlight, his head throbbing. The sound of engines rumbled nearby, human engines, not alien ones. For the first time in weeks, that sound gave him hope. He sat up slowly. Around him stood a group of survivors, men and women dressed in armor made from broken machine parts, their faces rough but determined. The woman who had found him earlier handed him a canteen of water. "I'm Commander Lyra," she said. "You're Captain Elias Ward. We've been looking for you." Elias frowned. "How did you find me?" Lyra pointed to a small scanner on her wrist. Mirahan's distress signal. "Before you crashed, she sent a pulse. She's alive, by the way, your scientist friend." Elias felt relief wash over him. "Where is she?" Lyra nodded toward a nearby cave hidden behind rocks. Inside, Mira sat surrounded by crates of old equipment. The alien core lay in front of her, glowing faintly. "You made it," she said, smiling weakly. "Barely," Elias replied. "Who are these people?" "Resistance," she said. "They call themselves Project Dawn, survivors from different armies, working together underground. They've been watching the Arvion since day one." Elias looked around the cave. Maps of destroyed cities covered the walls. Drones hung from the ceiling, some dismantled, others half-repaired. In the center of the room was a single message written on a steel plate. "Earth fights back." Mira pulled up a hologram of the alien data core. "I finally managed to decode a small part of it," she said. "It's not just commands or energy systems. It's a record, a history. The Arvian didn't just come now. They came before." Elias frowned. "Before? When?" Mira zoomed in on the hologram. The alien symbols changed into shapes resembling ancient human writing. "Thousands of years ago," she said. "They invaded once and they lost. But no one remembers it. No books, no ruins, no signs. It's like the memory was erased." Lyra crossed her arms. "You're saying humans already fought them before and won?" "Yes," Mira said. "But the question is how?" She tapped the console again, showing DNA sequences glowing in blue. "This isn't just alien code. It's mixed with human genetic patterns, like someone hid something inside us long ago. A message or maybe a weapon." Elias stared at the screen. "A weapon inside our DNA?" Mira nodded slowly. "They call it the prime gene, the core of human evolution, something ancient humans created to protect themselves from extinction. The Arvian feared it, so they erased all traces of it from our memory. Elias walked closer, his reflection flickering in the hologram light. If that's true, then we're more than they think. Before Mira could answer, the ground began to shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lyra shouted, "Drones inbound!" "They've tracked the signal again." Elias grabbed his rifle. "Everyone move to defense." Outside, a dark shape appeared in the sky. Not a small drone this time, but a massive Avion Sentinel. Its surface shifted like liquid metal, and beams of blue light shot from its body, turning rocks into vapor. The resistance fighters fired everything they had. Bullets sparked uselessly. Missiles exploded against invisible shields. The Avian Sentinel moved like a god, untouchable. Elias saw Mira still working on the core. "We can't stay here," he shouted. "Just a few more seconds," she cried. "There's something inside the code, a phrase." The ground cracked. Fire burst through the sand. Elias dragged her away as the cave roof began to collapse. The hologram flickered wildly, showing just one line of text before the system died. "When they return, we rise as one." The words echoed in Elias's mind like thunder. Rise as one. They escaped through a tunnel as the Sentinel fired another beam, turning the entire hill into molten glass. When they reached safety, Mira held the alien core close. It was damaged but still glowing faintly. "That phrase," she said, panting. "It was written in human DNA, not alien language. Someone from our past put it there. Maybe they wanted us to remember." Lyra looked at Elias. "Then maybe it's time we wake whatever's been sleeping inside us." Elias stared at the horizon, where alien ships floated like silent predators. His pulse pounded in his ears. Something inside him felt different, a strange warmth spreading through his veins. "Almost electric," he whispered. "Maybe it's already waking." That night, as the resistance camped under broken stars, Elias couldn't sleep. He felt the strange energy again, sharper, louder. When he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, visions of warriors made of light, humans fighting towering aliens in burning skies, and a voice, deep and ancient, whispering his name. He woke suddenly, his hands glowing faintly blue. The same color as the Avian's eyes, but stronger, brighter, alive. Mira saw it and froze. "Elias, your DNA, it's activating." The others stepped back, watching in awe as small sparks of energy danced across his skin. He felt no pain, only power, a forgotten force rising from within. Elias looked at Mira and said quietly, "The Avion think they own Earth. Let's remind them whose planet this really is." And in that dark desert, surrounded by fire and ruin, the first human weapon of the old war was reborn. Dawn came slowly over the desert, painting the sky in shades of orange and grey. The alien ship still hovered in silence, blocking half the sunlight. The world below was quiet, too quiet. But beneath that silence, a storm was forming. Elias Ward stood at the edge of the camp, watching the horizon. His hands still glowed faint blue, the light pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He could feel something inside him, alive, powerful, but hard to control. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of another life, a battlefield of ancient times, where humans fought side by side using energy drawn from their own bodies. Dr. Mira Han studied him carefully. She had run tests all night. The results didn't lie. "Your DNA is changing," she said. "The prime gene is active. You're becoming what ancient humans once were." Elias frowned. "And what were they?" Mira looked at him, her voice low. "Weapons. Living weapons built to fight the Avion." He looked at his glowing hands again. "Then it's time to finish what they started." Commander Lyra entered the tent, carrying a data pad. "We intercepted a signal from the Pacific. The Avian are activating something huge beneath the ocean, a central core. If they finish it, they'll control the planet completely." Elias took a deep breath. "Then we hit them first." Lyra hesitated. "We don't have ships, we don't have enough men." "It's suicide." Elias smiled faintly. "So was living under their rule." That evening, Project Dawn gathered around a holographic map. It showed the world covered in alien towers, glowing blue. But there was one weak point, a signal relay in the ruins of Los Angeles. Destroying it could disable part of the Arvion network. Elias pointed to it. This is where we start the war. The resistance prepared through the night. Old fighter jets were repaired using alien scraps. Soldiers armed themselves with hybrid weapons. Human bullets powered by stolen Arvion energy cells. They painted their armor with a single symbol, a white circle with a burning line, the mark of the rising dawn. Before sunrise, Mira approached Elias. "If you go there, you might not come back," she said softly. Elias smiled. "Then make sure what I start doesn't end with me." The assault began at dawn. Human jets roared across the grey sky, missiles screaming through the air. For the first time since the invasion, alien ships met resistance. Blue and red explosions painted the horizon. Drones fell burning into the ocean, their metallic bodies crashing like stars. Elias led a ground team through the destroyed streets of Los Angeles. Skyscrapers lay broken, covered in alien roots that pulsed with light. The air hummed with energy. The Arvion were everywhere. "Stay low," Elias ordered as a patrol passed overhead. Their glowing eyes scanned the ruins, searching for movement. When they moved away, Elias signaled his team forward. They reached the relay tower, a massive pillar of metal stretching high into the clouds, its surface covered in moving blue symbols. The air around it crackled like thunder. Mira's voice came through the comms. "Elias, I'm inside their network. You need to destroy the core node at the top. But be careful, it's protected by something alive." "Alive?" he repeated. Before she could answer, the ground split open. From the shadows crawled an Arvian guardian, tall, armored, its body made of liquid metal. Its eyes glowed the same blue as Elias's hands. It moved like a ghost, silent but deadly. The creature spoke, its voice echoing inside their minds. "Human evolution ends here." It lunged forward, slamming Elias into a wall. The impact shook the ground. His team opened fire, but their bullets passed through the creature like mist. Elias coughed, blood on his lips. "You want evolution?" he muttered. "Then watch." His eyes burned bright as energy surged through his veins. The ground cracked beneath his feet. He raised his hands, and blue lightning exploded outward, striking the guardian full force. The creature screamed, a sound like shattering glass, and burst into fragments of light. The soldiers stared in shock. Elias stood breathing heavily, his body glowing brighter than before. Mira's voice came again, trembling. "Elias, what did you just do?" "I stopped being human," he said quietly. "I became what they feared." He climbed the tower, energy radiating from his hands. Alien defenses fired beams of light, but his power bent them away. He reached the top and drove his glowing palm into the core. The tower screamed as its circuits burned. The entire structure began collapsing, waves of energy spreading across the sky. One by one, alien lights flickered and died. Mitra shouted over the radio, "You did it! Their network is down in half the world." Elias looked toward the sky, where the nearest alien ship began falling into the ocean. "Then tell everyone," he said. "The war for Earth has begun." Far above, in orbit, the Arvian Supreme Commander Vorin watched from his throne room. His silver armor reflected the light of dying ships. An advisor knelt before him. "Commander, we've lost control of several sectors. Human resistance is spreading. One of them has activated the prime gene." Vorin's expression didn't change, but his eyes glowed darker. "So they awaken again." He turned toward the holographic map of Earth. "Prepare the next phase. I want this Elias Ward alive. He is not just human. He is the echo of the First War." Back on Earth, Elias stood among the ruins, surrounded by cheering soldiers. For the first time since the invasion, humans were winning, even if just for one night. Mira looked at him, her voice quiet. "They'll come harder next time." Elias nodded. "Then we'll hit harder." He raised his hand, the faint blue light glowing stronger with every heartbeat. The spark had been lit, and soon the fire of war would consume the stars. The world had changed. For the first time since the invasion, the skies above Earth burned, not with fear, but with hope. The alien relay towers lay silent, their blue light fading into grey ash. Across ruined cities, human resistance groups rose from the shadows. Soldiers, scientists, farmers, even children. Everyone had joined the fight, and at the center of it all stood Captain Elias Ward. News of his battle in Los Angeles had spread across every hidden radio network. People spoke his name like a spark in the dark, the man who struck the first blow, but victory came with a price. The Avion were angry. Their calm, godlike faces had turned to rage. High above Earth, in the giant flagship Eclipsera, Supreme Commander Vorin watched as holographic screens showed cities burning in rebellion. "Humans rise again," he said softly, his voice cold. "They never learn." His advisor knelt before him. "Shall we begin the purge?" Vorin nodded. No mercy this time. Moments later, the sky over dozens of nations turned black. The Avion unleashed their starfire bombs, giant spheres of plasma that erased everything they touched. Millions vanished in seconds. Elias watched from his mountain base as the horizon glowed red. He slammed his fist against the table. "They're destroying the planet!" Mirahan's voice trembled. "They're trying to push us back underground, like before." Commander Lyra stood beside them, her armor cracked from the last battle. "We can't win this war hiding in caves. We need something bigger." Elias turned toward Mira. "What about the prime gene? You said it's not just in me, it's in all of us." Mira nodded. "It's true. Every human has a trace of it, but it's sleeping, locked inside our DNA. It only awakens when our emotions align." Elias frowned. "Emotions?" "Yes," she said. "Courage, hope, unity, the same power that once defeated the Avion." He looked around the room at his team, tired faces, bruised bodies, but eyes still burning. "Then it's time to wake them up," he said. Project Dawn sent a message to every surviving human network around the world. A short transmission, simple and clear. "We are not slaves. We are the sons and daughters of Earth. Rise with us." Across the planet, people answered. Hidden armies emerged from jungles and deserts. Families that had once fled now carried weapons. Human ships, built from captured alien parts, rose into the sky for the first time, and in orbit, the Avion fleet prepared for war. Vorin watched as thousands of human signals lit up on his battle map. His eyes narrowed. "So they choose extinction," he raised his hand. "Fire the Star Core cannon." Deep inside the Eclipsera, a massive weapon began to glow. Its energy field pulsed brighter than the sun, enough to burn the entire planet to dust. On Earth, Mira's scanners detected it instantly. "They're charging a planet killer!" she cried. Elias grabbed his gear. "Then we stop it before it fires." Lyra's voice was hard. "You plan to attack their ship?" "It's in orbit." Elias looked at her with calm eyes. "Then we go to space." Hours later, 3 stolen alien shuttles lifted off from hidden bases. The Resistance had no fancy shields, no perfect weapons, only determination. As the ships broke through the clouds, the view took their breath away. The stars glowed above and below. Earth shined like a wounded jewel. Between them hung the Avion fleet, endless silver shapes blocking the light. "This is it," Elias said through the comms. For every life they took, for every city they burned, the Resistance ships attacked. Explosions burst across the black sky. Human fighters swarmed between alien cruisers, firing energy missiles and magnetic rounds. The battle turned space into a storm of fire and metal. Elias's shuttle cut through the chaos, heading straight for the Eclipsera. Inside the flagship, alarms blared. Avian soldiers rushed through glowing corridors as Elias and his team breached the hull. They fought their way through waves of enemies, blades against plasma, blood against metal. Finally, Elias reached the central chamber. There, on a throne of light, stood Vorin. The alien's voice echoed through the chamber. "You should have stayed on your dying world, human." Elias raised his weapon. "It's not dying. It's fighting." Vorin smiled faintly. "You think this power makes you special? Your ancestors built the prime gene from us. You are our creation." Elias's eyes glowed brighter. "Then the creation just surpassed its maker," Vorin roared, striking him with a blast of energy that sent him crashing into a wall. Sparks filled the air. But Elias stood up again, fire burning in his veins. He charged, their fists colliding like thunder. The entire ship trembled. Energy waves burst outward as human and alien power clashed. Vorin tried to crush him, but Elias's strength kept rising. The memories of ancient warriors filled his mind, voices whispering, "Rise as one." He caught Vorin's arm, twisted it, and drove his glowing hand through the alien's chest. Blue fire erupted, flooding the chamber. Vorin fell to his knees, his voice weak. "Impossible. Humans were never meant to—" Elias leaned close. "We were meant to survive." With a final surge of light, Vorin's body exploded into energy. The shockwave tore through the flagship, breaking its core. Mira's voice came through the comms. "Elias, the star core is destabilizing. Get out of there." Elias looked around at the burning room. The ship was collapsing. "Not yet," he said. "I'm ending this." He ran to the cannon control and slammed his hand on the panel. His energy merged with the alien system, redirecting the weapon toward the Arvian fleet. He whispered, "This is for Earth." The cannon fired. A single beam of white light shot through the darkness, cutting across the sky. One by one, the Arvian ships exploded, their glowing bodies turning to dust. Mira watched from her shuttle as the fleet vanished. Her eyes filled with tears. He did it. But when the light faded, Elias's ship was gone. Only silence remained. Down on Earth, people looked to the night sky, now filled with falling debris and streaks of light. Humanity had won the battle. But the price had been high. Mira whispered softly, "Rest. Elias, the protectors have fallen because humanity finally stood." And as the world watched the dawn rise again, one thing became clear: this was not the end. It was only the beginning of the age of humans. The world was quiet after the Great Blast. The alien fleet had burned, their remains floating like glowing ashes in orbit. Earth was free. But freedom came with silence. No one knew if Captain Elias Ward had survived. For 3 days, the world waited. From the mountains of Asia to the ruins of New York, humans searched the skies. Radio towers came alive again, voices whispering, "He saved us." But where is he? In the command bunker of Project Dawn, Mira Han watched the empty sky on the main screen. Her eyes were tired, her voice soft. "Elias, you can't be gone." Commander Lyra placed a hand on her shoulder. "He bought us time. That's what matters now." But deep inside, Mira felt something. A pulse. A faint energy echoing through the planet. She turned to her console and began typing furiously. "Wait, his energy signature, it's still active." Lyra's eyes widened. "You mean he's alive?" Mira nodded. "Not alive. Transformed." Far above Earth, in the ruins of the Eclipsera, something stirred. Among broken metal and drifting fire, a faint glow shone brighter than the stars. The energy that once powered the alien ship had merged with something human. Elias's spirit, his will, his DNA. He opened his eyes. For a moment he didn't feel his body, only power. He looked around and saw the wreckage of war. The void whispered with the voices of fallen soldiers, both human and alien. Then, through the silence, came a voice. Not human, not Arvion. "You have awakened the core of creation." Elias turned. Before him floated a figure made of pure light, the architect, a being older than both species. The voice continued, "The Arvion were meant to guide life, not rule it. But they forgot their purpose. You human have reminded the universe what creation truly means. Choice." Elias spoke softly. "Then why did you let them destroy so much?" The light shimmered. "Because creation needs resistance to evolve. And now the storm begins." The architect raised its hand, and energy rushed through Elias's veins. His form solidified, part man, part cosmic light. He could see through time, through planets, through galaxies. "You are no longer one. You are the storm that binds them." And with that, the architect vanished, leaving Elias alone, but powerful beyond imagination. Back on Earth, Mira's screen flashed red. "Something's happening in orbit," she said. "Massive energy spikes, bigger than any weapon." Lyra frowned. "Arvion reinforcements?" Mira shook her head. "No, it's him A beam of white light shot down from the sky, hitting the ocean with a thunderous wave. Water rose like mountains, and clouds spun into violent storms. The energy rippled through the air. Lightning danced, not random, but alive. Elias had returned. He walked across the burning waves, every step creating ripples of light. His armor glowed with Arvian metal fused into human muscle. His eyes burned bright gold, but above him new ships appeared, dark, massive, and unfamiliar. The High Arvian Dominion had arrived. These were not the same protectors. They were the original architects of the Arvian race. Their ships were black as void, powered by antimatter cores. From their command vessel, Overlord Xyrax looked down at Earth. Our children failed. Now we end this infestation. The sky turned crimson as the Dominion fired their planetary beams. Elias raised his hands. Energy surged around him. Lightning struck the beams mid-air, splitting them apart. He shouted, his voice echoing like thunder across continents. "This is our world. You will not take it again." His power spread through the Earth's atmosphere, connecting every human mind. For a brief moment, everyone, soldier, farmer, child, felt what he felt, unity. And then it happened. The prime gene awakened in millions. Human eyes across the globe glowed faintly gold. People lifted heavy debris with bare hands, repaired broken machines with pure energy, healed the wounded just by touching them. Humanity had become something new, something unstoppable. Mira watched it unfold in awe. "He's connected to all of us," she whispered. "He's making us evolve." Lyra grinned fiercely. "Then let's fight with him." From hidden hangars and underground cities, thousands of human ships launched into the sky. Fighters built from alien scraps powered by human courage. They rose like a metallic storm. Elias flew up to meet them, not in a ship, but through sheer will. Lightning followed his path. "Humans," his voice echoed through every communicator, "today we fight not for survival, but for honor. For Earth." The Dominion ships opened fire. The sky became a battlefield of light and sound. Explosions bloomed like suns. Ships burned across the horizon, and in the center of it all, Elias tore through enemy vessels with his bare hands, his power leaving trails of golden fire. Xyrax, watching from his throne, snarled. "You are just a man." Elias's voice echoed through space. "I am every man, every woman, every child. I am humanity." He charged toward the Dominion flagship. The ship's shields flared, but Elias broke through them like glass. He landed on the command deck, surrounded by armored giants. With one gesture, he unleashed a storm of energy that swept them away. Xyrax stepped forward, his armor black as night, his eyes burning blue. "Your defiance ends here," Xyrax said. Elias smiled faintly. "Then let's end it together." They clashed, two gods of war, their power shaking the stars. Energy waves cut through the void, ripping asteroids apart. Each strike echoed across the galaxy. Mira's scanners struggled to read the energy levels. "It's off the charts. If this continues, the planet..." Before she could finish, the signal exploded into static. Above Earth, a final blast of light illuminated the heavens, brighter than anything ever seen. For a moment, night turned to day, then everything went silent. In the silence, a single voice whispered through the comms, "The storm has ended. But the dawn is coming." Humanity looked to the sky, wondering what that meant, and whether their savior had survived again. The human storm had changed everything, and now the galaxy would remember one truth: Earth does not bow. Earth rises. Silence hung over the world after the great battle. The stars, once burning with war, now shimmered calmly in the endless night. For the first time in centuries, Earth slept without fear. But in the ruins of the Dominion flagship, something still moved. Amid the broken steel and floating embers, a faint golden glow pulsed, slow, steady, alive. Then from the wreckage, a hand emerged. Captain Elias Ward had survived. He floated in the cold void, his armor torn, his body covered in scars that glowed faintly like molten light. Around him drifted the remains of the Dominion fleet. Silent giants turned to dust. He looked toward Earth, the blue sphere shining below. He smiled weakly. We did it. We really did it. But as he drifted closer, he felt something change. Voices, millions of them, whispered in his mind. Not alien, human, they were calling his name. On the surface, humanity was rebuilding. Cities rose from ashes. Fields returned to life. The old networks reconnected, uniting the planet in a single voice. Flags no longer mattered. Nations had become one people. Mira Han stood on the balcony of the new command center, watching the sunrise. Beside her, Commander Lyra said softly, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Mira nodded. "It feels different, like the planet itself is breathing again." But her smile faded as she looked at the sky. "He's still out there," she whispered. "I can feel it." Moments later, an alert appeared on her screen, a pulse of unknown energy entering orbit. Lyra's eyes widened. Could it be? Mira didn't wait. She ran to the communications deck. "Open every frequency. Send a signal to the coordinates now." The transmission went out across the stars. "Elias, if you hear this, come home." High above Earth, Elias heard it. The voice broke through the static of space, clear and full of emotion. He closed his eyes. "Mira." Golden light spread from his chest, surrounding him completely. The void shimmered, and he vanished. A second later, a beam of light shot down through the clouds, striking the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Waves rose high as the light faded, revealing Elias, standing atop the water, alive, around the world. People watched through satellites and cameras. The hero of Earth had returned. Crowds gathered in cities, cheering and crying. Old enemies embraced and strangers shouted his name. For the first time in human history, all of Earth united under one banner, not of domination, but survival. Later, in the central hall of New Dawn Command, Elias walked in wearing simple armor. The entire resistance stood and saluted him. Mira ran forward, tears in her eyes, and hugged him tightly. "You're really here," she whispered. He smiled. "I told you I'd come back." Lyra laughed. "We thought you'd gone cosmic on us." Elias looked around at his people, bruised, tired, but alive. "I did," he said softly. "But I came back because Earth still needs a future." Weeks passed. Humanity grew faster than ever before. The energy from the prime gene had changed people permanently. They could think faster, heal quicker, and even connect thoughts through emotion. War had taught them unity, and now unity gave them power. From the old deserts of Africa to the floating cities over the Atlantic, humans built something new, a single world government known as the Terran Union. Their motto was simple: "We do not conquer, we defend." Mira became the leader of scientific research. Lyra commanded the new orbital fleet, ships made from both human and alien technology. And Elias, he became something else. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a symbol, the first human to cross the line between man and legend. One night, as he stood on a cliff overlooking the sea, Mira joined him. "The stars look closer now," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe because we're finally ready to reach them." She looked at him curiously. "Are you really staying this time?" He turned to her, his golden eyes calm. "For now. But the architect told me something before he disappeared, that our storm would wake others." Mira frowned. "Others?" Elias nodded slowly. "There are more civilizations out there, watching us. Some will want peace. Others will fear what we've become." She sighed. "Then I guess our fight isn't really over," he smiled. "It never is. But now, we fight as equals." The next morning, the first Terran Explorer fleet launched into space. Massive ships, sleek and bright, built from both human and avian designs, rose through the atmosphere. Crowds around the world watched as the fleet carried Earth's flag beyond the stars. Lyra's voice echoed through the global broadcast. "To every world out there, humanity is no longer a shadow. We are the light that survives." Elias stood at the command deck of the lead ship, the Dawnbringer. Mira watched from Earth, smiling as his ship disappeared into the void. Far across the galaxy, deep in dark space, an unknown council of alien species watched the transmission from Earth. The image of humans cheering, united and strong, played on their holographic screens. One of them hissed softly. "They were supposed to perish." Another older being replied, "No, they have become the storm the universe feared, and perhaps the balance it needed." They turned toward the stars where the human fleet vanished. "Prepare for contact. The age of Earth has begun." In the endless dark of space, Elias looked out from the bridge. Stars drifted past like sparks in the void. He whispered to himself, "They claimed to protect Earth. But now the universe will remember. We made them beg for mercy." The crew stood behind him, silent, proud. The engines roared and the fleet moved forward toward the unknown, and so began the dawn of humanity, not as victims, not as survivors, but as the next great force in the galaxy.